advancements in artificial intelligence to crypto investing to healing in relationships to just anything and everything that you could possibly cover. And it was really extraordinary, and I had a blast with everybody. And for those of you that couldn't make it, if you'd like to check out the recording of everything that was done, I can send you guys a link. I don't have it in front of me where you can access the recording here, but I can text something out to you. So I'll send that out. Make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning to the number 87948 if you're not on the text list, but I assume all of you are because you're here. All right. So anyway, so this is an interesting week. The stock market's doing some really wild stuff. Some of these stocks that you guys that are doing selling stock options on, some of those stocks have been getting hit pretty hard. And it's really ironic because the overall stock market actually is up today, up quite a lot. But if you are in some of these, the Oak lows and stuff like that, you may have seen a pullback. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I think in terms of what I'm seeing here, and why it's happening, and what I believe is going on, and where what I plan to do with my money. First thing is, how many of you noticed that silver and gold have pretty much been hit pretty hard? Have you seen what's happened with silver and gold? They've just been getting I mean, just body slam. Ooh, buddy. Yeah, silver and gold have been on this massive run, and all that really came to an end this weekend when President Trump nominated a guy named Kevin Warsh for the Federal Reserve. And what I'm going to do is look up the price of silver and the price of gold right now, and we can see what it's doing. Yeah, it's down a little bit further today. And what I'll do is I'll share my screen so you can kind of see what I'm talking about and why everybody's freaking out. There's a lot of interesting dynamics here that I think are worth paying attention to. And I promise you, when we get done, I won't just talk about the problem. We'll talk about a solution. And it's not, again, not investing advice. You guys know I don't give investing advice ever, but I can tell you what I plan to do with my money, with me and Miss Alicia's money. All right, so here you look at the 5-day movement in gold. It's been pretty negative. The last month, though, ironically, is still up, believe it or not. In the last 6 months, it's been on a tear. The last year, up 65%, but the last 5 days have been ugly. And if you were to switch over to the price of silver, you see silver's down a little bit today, down a lot this week, 27%. That's huge. But it's still up this month. Look at that. It's still up 10% this month. Last 6 months, 110%. Last year, 141%. So if you own gold or silver, if you've made any investments in those spaces, and by the way, the ticker symbol for silver is like SLV. That's the a silver ETF, SLV. And for gold, a good way to buy gold is GLD. If you own either one of those, you've done pretty well if you're a long-term holder. Yeah, you lost some money this week, but losing money this week does not mean you've lost money overall, right? And what this reminds you of is this. It reminds you of I had to sip my coffee because it's coffee time. I ain't had coffee yet. Um, when you get ahead a little bit, when you get that investment that's just killing it and doing really well, take some off the table and count your blessings, right? Like instead of thinking about how much more money you'll make if it keeps going up, a good investing strategy is to sell a little bit, and also to, in addition to selling a little bit, buy some put options. Buy some insurance. That's what put options do. Put options give you protection, right? So you can pick a price, and they call it a strike price, and you can buy a put that will guarantee that you'll never go beyond a certain point. You'll never drop below a certain link. All right. Now, by the way, Mia James is here. Oh, Mia. Oh my goodness, Mia was one of the speakers this weekend. And let me just tell you, Mia, ma'am, you are a superstar, ma'am. And your story is so awesome. I don't know if y'all remember when we talked about Mia's story, where she talked about how she was discouraged from investing as a child because she's a girl, and because we all know that girls can't count, and girls don't know nothing about money, and girls can't do math, right? Which obviously unfortunately, somebody was misinformed in her family because the young lady's brilliant. And she went on and became this extraordinary investor and has done these amazing things. And I got a chance to meet her. She actually was one of the speakers this weekend at ABC Digital, and I was super impressed. And so yeah, so I just want to shout you out, Mia, and thank you for sharing that link. That helps a lot. In fact, the link right here is the link you can go to if you want to watch the recording of this weekend's ABC Digital. You can sign up actually for something we have called ABC Digital. You can do a 14-day trial, and what it has is it doesn't just have this last ABC. It has a bunch of them. You know, we've been doing the All Black National Convention for about 11 years now. This will be year 11, and we're very proud of it because this is 100% black funded, black owned. Like this is, this ain't no Democrat money, this ain't no Republican money, this ain't no corporate money. This is not brought to you by McDonald's and Google and everything else. And we designed it that way to make it sovereign, right? We wanted sovereign space. We said, look, it ain't got to be a big space, but it got to be our space so we can make the dang decisions because I'm tired of us constantly having to bow to other people. I'm tired of other people having the ability to shut down the things that we're doing. For example, I think they had a great conference. What's it called? Afrotech or something like that. And when all the companies got rid of their DEI programs, that conference got hit pretty hard, from what I understand. Like they really, really, really sank quite a lot. And this is why I advise anybody if you build anything, you gotta if you want to build black, you gotta really be ready for that fight. It's not easy. It's not easy because there's no shortcuts to building a truly black capital base. It seems like there's a shortcut, right? Like, oh, this white guy over here is going to write a check and he's going to put us up and give us a big platform and all that. Yeah, that's nice, but he who giveth has the power to take it away, right? The people that have the ability to feed you are the ones that also have the ability to starve you. So when they decide they're done playing with you or that they're bored with you, then they will walk away and leave you just limp and hanging and dead. And a lot of black institutions and events and things like that get slaughtered when their benefactors decide they're not interested in supporting that anymore. We don't have a benefactor like that. We don't. It would have been easier, believe me. I have had there was one year, true story, where the convention was about to happen. We were one day away, and we made this massive deal with this hotel. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the event planner comes to me right 24 hours before we're about to start, and she says, um, "Oh, they there's a little bit left on the bill that they need you to pay." And I said, "Oh, really? Okay, so there's more we got to pay before it starts." It's always there's always so much stuff going on. And I said, "Okay, well, how much is it?" And she says, and they said that you need to pay this or there won't be an event. You can't do the event. And I said, well, okay, all right, well, how much is it? And it was $100,000. And literally, we had to come with $100,000 in 24 hours, or the whole convention would have been called off. And I just remember those are the moments the reason I'm so big on healing and therapy and learning how to stay cool under pressure is because when I tell you, first off, I was pissed. I was livid because I'm like, no, and nobody told me. Nobody just thought to bring this up, right? And that's why you don't brag about. That's why you don't want to brag about your wealth or anything like that because people just think you're made of money and that thousands of dollars can fly back and forth. So I'm like, okay, nobody told me, and so you're telling me we got to get $100,000 in 24 hours so there's no convention. Well, I sat down with the accountant and we figured it out. We went and got the money and and paid it and it made it happen, right? And so ultimately, I think in my view, first off, that is again that's literally why I'm so big on healing therapy and dealing with trauma so you can learn how to stay cool when tough things happen. Like when your stock portfolio crashes, or when you lose a bunch of money in your business, or when somebody comes in and tries to distract you and throw you off your game, you know how to stay calm. Or somebody pops off and decides they want to fight you and cuss you out in the middle of the mall, right? You know how to stay level-headed. Level-headed people, I believe, are the most successful people out here because they can stay focused on the mission, right? So you want to stay focused on the mission. What is your mission? What is your purpose? Why are you here? What if you have no purpose and no mission? Why would you even get up in the morning and come to class? And like, what? Why? You could be sleeping. You could be twerking. You could be watching Netflix. There's a lot of things you could be doing other than talking about economics, right? And so the healing part's there, and then also, generally speaking, there's something I would almost refer to, and I write about this in my book, The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power, that I call like big boy economics. I don't write that, I don't say that in the book, but literally it's what I would think of as big boy economics, meaning for black people to be economically sovereign, you got to know the ups and downs that come with economic sovereignty. You got to accept the responsibility that comes with freedom and independence. Freedom is never free. Freedom is never easy. Freedom can never be funded by your benefactor. White people will never write you a check big enough for you to be truly free. That's not in their job description. So the question is, are we willing to write the check for our children? Are we willing to make the sacrifice? Are we willing to, to cut out some bad habits, make some adjustments, confront the culture in certain ways, have the hard conversations, whatever that looks like, in order to truly be economic grown-ups in the world? Because I believe, as Malcolm X used to say, that they want black people to remain as children, like infants, especially the black man. They really love it when the black man is childlike. They love it when he's irresponsible. They love the black male clown. They celebrate the clown on national television. They put the clown up and they say, "Look, this is the black leader. This is these are the most influential black people." It's always a bunch of damn entertainers out here doing really irresponsible, immature stuff. Half of them are in the Epstein files because they have no sexual discipline. A bunch of them out here spending money on nonsense and bragging about how they blew all their children's inheritance on a Lamborghini, right? And really, I have a term for that, by the way. Since so I don't want to get too serious and too scared because I don't want to scare the babies or nothing. But this stuff makes me angry. I literally call it clown economics. So literally on my Instagram. Let me show you. I put something up there today about that. Actually, two things about clown economics. So here's an example of clown economics. Nobody ever told us that this makes sense. We just we just follow what we see on TV sometimes. Not all of us, but some of us do. And clown economics might be when you spend the last on drip to impress people who don't even care about you. So you so busy trying to look fly that you're not really actually trying to be in a good, healthy financial position. You want to be economically healthy. You want to look cool and you want to look hip and you want everybody to admire you based on what they see on the outside, instead of actually doing the hard work and developing what's on the inside. Instead of developing your intellect, you want to develop your wardrobe. Instead of developing your integrity, you want to have more jewelry, right? Instead of actually working on your spirit and your soul, you just want to get in a Mercedes and people will assume that you're a good person and that you've done the work because you actually worked on the external and not the internal. I think we got to kill that because people who are emotionally broken become easy targets in a capitalist society. Capitalism, it's built off of basically exploiting economic desperation. It's built on profiting from those who are least prepared, the least disciplined. It's where Warren Buffett used to say that wealth is a transfer of resources from what is it from what did he say? Short-sighted people to people that have a long-term vision. He didn't say it like that, but it's something like that. Basically, it's or patient to impatient people. He said basically impatient people transfer their wealth to patient people. People that are able to stay calm, that have done the healing, that know how to remain level emotionally. They sit back and they strategically collect wealth from the people who are into the instant gratification, the people who don't have the discipline, the people that don't want to make the sacrifice. So you're renting, your landlord is building, you're buying things at the mall, the corporations are stacking wealth based on this income that they're getting from you. You're satisfying the short-term need to deal with economic survival and financial desperation by going to work every day. Your boss is building legacy by developing a corporation that he can pass down to his children, right? So ultimately, it's very important to raise our kids to be economic grown-ups and to really confront the clown behavior. It doesn't mean we're here to make fun of the clowns. Sometimes people just don't know what they're doing, right? Sometimes they're teenagers. Sometimes the rappers are very young. But there's a point where somebody has to step in as the grown up, which is all of us, and say, no, no, this is not appropriate. This is not what you do. This is not how you should behave. Okay. So by the way, just to mention, let me see here. As I was telling you about gold, okay, so let's go back to gold. If you want my opinion about gold, I am a buyer in gold right now. I'm a believer that gold and silver, I'm not guaranteeing that these are assets that I believe are definitely going to go up in value. But the idea that gold and silver crashed because of the nomination of Kevin Warsh by Donald Trump, that makes no sense to me. And the reason it makes no sense that the market crashed based on that nomination is because they're sort of leaning on information that doesn't quite add up. And let me explain. So basically, the reason the market crashed when Kevin Warsh was nominated is because Kevin Warsh, who actually is a very smart guy, he's got all the credentials, Harvard, Yale, all that stuff, or Harvard and Stanford. I think those are his two schools. And he for many years he said things that I would agree with 100%. He said that the Federal Reserve made money too cheap. And because they kept lowering interest rates, they call it quantitative easing. So they lower interest rates, you do things to stimulate the money supply because that gets the economy going. You're inflating the economy and creating activity and reducing the unemployment rate, things like that. And and all this stuff feels good, but the problem is that you have long-term effects like massive ballooning debt levels, which we have, horrible inflation problems, which we could have. It could actually get quite worse, and a few other things. You see what's happening with the dollar and kind of the dollar kind of getting hit pretty hard. And so when Warsh gets nominated, the market's like, oh God, this guy is gonna slow down the economy. He's gonna stop the birthday party. It's like the relative. It's like when you have the auntie that's real strict and she thinks your mom was too nice to you, and suddenly because some of y'all be spoiling your son. Seriously, stop doing that. Stop putting these spoiled ass black men out here in the streets and they ruining people's lives and stuff. So some of these mamas out here spoiling their babies. And so imagine if an aunt or an uncle, imagine if Uncle Joe moves in and Uncle Joe, it makes him get up at 6 in the morning and and disciplines him and lets him know that he might get karate chopped upside the head if he gets out of line, that type of thing. Well, there's a good long-term benefit, right, for your son that he's gonna be a better man, stronger, more stable. The downside, though, is there's going to be temporary volatility. Like, if anybody remember the movie Baby Boy when Bing Rames moved in and suddenly everything changed? Like, because Baby Boy was used to being the baby boy. He did whatever he wanted. He'd lay around, and his mom, he was the man of the house. Suddenly, there was a real man of the house, and there was a conflict there, right? So basically, Kevin Warsh is coming into the baby boy fed and saying, stop babying this damn economy. Stop making money cheap because what you've done is you created asset bubbles. You pushed up the prices of everything from real estate to stocks like crazy. If you've been investing in stocks and real estate the last 15 years, you have seen nothing but this. Like the Cardi B song, and it's up and it's up. Everything's up, 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 and it's created a distorted economy basically. And Warsh is 100% correct about that. That's what he's been preaching for a long time. But the confusion is that that's not what Trump wants. Trump actually wants more of the inflation. He wants the lower interest rates and continue to push the asset prices up. Because his family makes so much money when the market goes up, when real estate goes up. So people are like, why would you pick this guy? Here's my theory. I think that the Warsh guy is ambitious. He's smart and he's ambitious. I believe that he has made a deal with the Trump administration to change his tune. And I think that he convinced them that, look, if you pick me, I will do what you want me to do. I'm going to lower interest rates. And it's not, but here's the thing, it's not something that I think is inherently corrupt. I think that Warsh is a guy that's smart enough to understand certain things about the economy. And here's what it is, right? So the big risk in lowering interest rates is you can cause inflation, right? Well, the economy is, we're going into this AI boom. And one thing that the AI boom is doing, and Kathy Wood and others are talking about this extensively, is it's causing it's going to create it's increasing productivity like crazy. Productivity is going to shoot up, and ultimately it has a deflationary impact on the economy. So it's almost like, think of it like a tire, and you're worried if we keep pumping air in this tire, it's going to get too inflated and it's going to blow up, right? So think of inflation like inflating a tire. Well, what if somebody says, no, 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 actually there's air leaking out of the tire. So it's actually deflating. So you can actually keep pumping and pump harder, right? In fact, and still be okay because there's air coming out. So basically the economy is kind of there's the belief. Again, this is all speculative, honestly, but it makes sense because of AI and the increases in productivity. That's a deflationary effect. And here's where it's deflationary: wages are going to drop in a lot of industries. You're not going to pay as much for people that do those white collar jobs, like a strategist and an analyst and all that. AI is doing all that, right? So computer programmers, you better start making another plan, right? Because AI is going to reduce those wages for those people, which is deflationary. Prices drop, right, including the price of human labor. And so what Warsh, I believe, is basically signaling to the Trump administration, because I believe he wants to be the chairman of the Fed. I think that that's like a flex for him. That's like his ambitious objective, right? He's a smart guy. He works hard. People like him typically work very hard because they want to have some sort of title, right? That's going to validate all that hard work. So I think he wants to be Fed chair, and I think he's been signaling, hey, look, because of this deflationary effect that I believe is going to happen, I'm open to the idea of lowering interest rates. And what that does is that gives Trump what he wants, right? He wants interest rates lowered. And two, it lets Warsh, become the chair of the Fed. And three, it gives legitimacy to the Fed, right? Because if Trump had simply picked somebody who was a simpleton, like a yes person or a sycophant, who just says, yes, sir, yes, yazza mazza, I'll do whatever you say, then the everything would have fell apart. The Fed would lose its credibility, right? Because the Fed credibility is extremely important, so that when they announce that interest rates are lower, they expect the economy to react. But if the Fed has no credibility, like if they know that they're only doing it because the president told them to do it, then the markets are going to say, whatever, get out of here. The bond market is going to say, you're full of crap, right? And so long story short, this is why I want to buy gold and silver, because I think that the market crashed for the wrong reasons. I think that again, I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I've actually got my E Trade open because I'm about to slide in the DMs of my stock portfolio. I don't slide into women's DMs. I slide in. I'm gonna slide into but I'm gonna slide into the visit to this girl I know called GLD, and she's real cute, and she's got a value in the billions, and I'm gonna go buy some more GLD, and I'm gonna buy some more SLV silver. Also, because the other thing about silver is silver just has so many strategic benefits, and in this new economy that just make it such an essential metal. And then there's other reasons that silver is going up. There's actually a host of reasons. Actually, I want to do a deep dive on silver. I'll let you guys know when I do that. But literally right now, as we speak, I'm literally looking at GLD and I'm buying that. Now, I think someone was asking where you can buy my book. Yeah, you can buy my book, The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy at drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. And actually, that's where we also have financial flashcards for kids, and we have financial workbooks for kids, and we have all kinds of cool stuff, whether it's for your children or for yourself. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com if you want to take a look. All right, so let's go back to Instagram, and I want to show you something. These are 5 money traps that keep people broke. Let me show you this. And these are some things just to take notes on and keep it in your head. One is credit card debt. Credit card debt's at an all-time high. And the worst thing about credit card debt is that debt is okay. Debt is good. Debt can be a wonderful economic engine, but debt is bad if you're borrowing for the wrong reasons. So credit card debt is high interest debt that you're borrowing for the wrong reasons. So it's like a double whammy. Not only are you paying an insanely high interest rate, which means you're making substantial donations to Capital One, who I own stock in, stuff like that. I don't really want to max out my Capital One card, but I definitely like owning the stock. And then two, you're also you owe money on. It's like an invisible debt to some extent, because the asset that you borrowed the money to acquire disappears. It depreciates in value. Like if you borrow it to go on a trip or borrow it to buy clothes at the mall, those are not real assets. But if you borrow money to start a business or something, then that's a real asset that you can look at, or borrow it to buy stock or something. Um, Number two is no investing. Not investing is actually the number one culprit of why black wealth is going down. If I could simply convince if I could convince 10% of the black community to invest as aggressively as we play basketball or something, like we would literally like black wealth, the what racial wealth gap would close dramatically within one generation. Like just literally getting people to go in and buy index funds. I'm not talking about wild investing. I'm not talking about getting a business and working 12 hours a day. You can do that if you want to, but you don't have to. But if you want to work 12 hours a day, you can, but I don't want to. I'm talking about just having just paying on that index fund like it's child support, just like every and it really is child support because your kids are going to benefit when you leave those assets, right? And so don't forget, if you want to do our 5-year pledge, I'm just asking everybody to pledge that they'll invest as much in an index fund as they put into their card note or something like that. Just text the word pledge to the number 87948. So text pledge to 87948. I'll send you a training I did. I did a deep dive training on exchange traded funds and different kinds of ETFs. So for those of you that are beginners and don't know what to do, that cannot stop you. That is not an excuse. That do not let the fact that you're a beginner be your excuse. We're not doing that up in here. No, 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 no excuses. Go, text the word pledge to 87948. You'll immediately get a link to a training I did on exchange traded funds. Stick with the ETFs until you get comfortable with the individual stocks. Even if you never get comfortable with the individual stocks, it still won't matter. If you're an aggressive ETF investor, you're going to have more wealth than regular people. This is a proven fact. This one decision, and this is something, this is why, and let me just show you something. Every now and then I'll say stuff that just makes people mad, and I just don't care. I just don't give a damn. I'm sorry. I don't care. I gotta be honest based on what I see. And I put this other thing up, which I know is gonna trigger some people. I can't help it. Maybe it's just maybe that's where I need to work on my personality because I'll do stuff that makes people mad, and I'll be like, boys, if you keep making people mad, you're not gonna have any friends. But it's okay. I hope y'all, maybe some of y'all will be my friends. That's all I need. Let me show you something I put up. Oh, come on. Why won't this come up? This is weird. This page is acting strange. So let me show you. All right. So give me a second. So because here's the thing, right? A lot of people think that in order to fix black wealth, you have to have all these complex solutions. And I don't know why this browser's acting weird. It's not letting me. You know how I could click on something and pull it up? Oh, wow. That's really heavy. Makes me wonder if there's a conspiracy here. All right, so let me show you. Let me show you what's happening here. All right, so here's what's going on. All right. So I'm gonna show you guys my Instagram page. And it's literally like, okay, so every other post like this one, I put up something today about how the Trump administration's investing in rare earth minerals, a stockpile, and that's leading to the price of the rare earth miners going up. And we've talked about a rare earth mineral ETF, REMX. It's gone up because apparently, and again, I felt like that was what they were going to do. They're going to start stockpiling rare earth minerals because they're very competitive with China. So anyway, let's keep going. So I go on and I can do this, right? Clown economics, buying a $90,000 chain while your rent is late. So no more clown economics. We're getting rid of that. And then here, oh, this was me I was just being silly. That breaking Bitcoin's price plummets when it's revealed that Bitcoin was in the Epstein files. So there's Bitcoin like partying with all those women. He needs to stop. He needs to get off those Epstein files and stop partying so much and get his price up. So that's why price is dropping because you're slipping Bitcoin. All right. So anyway, so I did this. So Oklo, I showed this, right? Oklo stock has been declining. You guys know that Oklo has been a big riser. We started buying it when it was like $10 a share. So a lot of you have made a lot of money from Oklo, but this is a dip, and this is actually part of that wash effect. I mean, I told you that basically the stocks like Oklo are the ones that get hit the hardest when there is a belief that the Federal Reserve is going to increase interest rates because these are what you call long duration securities. Long duration securities are companies like this that don't make a lot of money. Most of their valuation is almost hypothetical or theoretical. It's not real. They're not really making money at a high level. And so when interest rates go up, mathematically speaking, because of the mathematical models that are used to define a stock price, it ends up crashing these stocks first. So just know that when you buy a stock like this, you're going to get this chaos and volatility. So you really have to have a firm belief in your long-term thesis to hold on to a stock like this. If you're not ready to just hold on to it and buy the dip and stay with it, then don't even start because it's going to drive you crazy. All right. So anyway, when I get to this one, right? Look at this. When I hit the next button, I try to go to the next slide. It doesn't work. Look, this is the one I wanted to show you. Look at that. Look, I see how I'm clicking. But look, if I click on this, it opens up. Y'all see that? But if I click on this one, it doesn't. Isn't that interesting? Again, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, but here's what it says. Let me tell you what it says, and I'll tell you my why it's kind of freaking me out. Is I literally said voting doesn't increase black wealth. Investing does. And some people get mad at me when I say that because they think that I'm telling people not to vote. I'm not telling people not to vote. I'm just telling you that voting might make you feel better. Voting might actually have an impact on the election for sure. Voting can certainly connect you to American politics, but there's no evidence whatsoever that voting has ever increased black wealth. So if your goal is to build wealth, if your goal is to develop your communities, if your goal is to get freedom from oppressive slavery, whether it's capitalism or just white supremacy or whatever boogeyman haunts you in the night, having more wealth in your pocket will change that. If you give me a choice between seriously, what do you all think? If you had a choice between being a rich black man and a poor white man in America, which would you rather be? Would you rather be a poor white man, or would you that has to work a job that he hates, that doesn't have any money in the bank, that has financial insecurity, or would you rather be a wealthy black man or black woman where you've got plenty of financial insecurity and your family's doing well? You're not feeling economic stress. Which would you prefer? What do y'all think? Answer me in the chat. Which do you think will be better? Right? And again, I'm not sitting here saying that racism doesn't exist. I mean, sure, if you have a choice between being a poor black man and a poor white man, then yeah, obviously there's an advantage there. Whiteness has an advantage. But what wealth really does, honestly, when you are an investor, wealth kind of overrides a lot of stuff. I think the great Ozzie Davis, the actor who's married to Ruby Dee, he said it on Arsenio 30 years ago, and I didn't understand it at the time, but I paid attention. He said America can forgive you for being black, but it'll never forgive you for being poor. And that really, I don't know exactly what he meant with that, but the way I took it was, one, it does say that money kind of drives everything, unfortunately. But two, it seemed to me it sounded like an exit plan. It sounded like it's like, okay, so this is a solution. If I get some money, then a lot of my problems will go away. Not every problem. Money does not remove every problem. You have to have financial consciousness with the money that you have. But just like when you get a car, you have to know how to drive a car. So when you get wealth, you got to know how to drive your wealth. You have to be conscious about it. If you get a car, you must be conscious. If you drive a car and you're not conscious, if you're drunk or if you're high or if you're distracted, then you're going to be a very bad driver. You're going to crash that car, right? So same thing as with wealth. When you get the wealth, you get the financial consciousness to go with the wealth. I think you have a really purpose-driven life at that point. I think that you have a meaningful life that has a lot of freedom that a lot of people don't get, and it's not as if these things are not accessible, right? That's the part that infuriates me is when they talk about it like it's not accessible and they sort of breed this hopelessness. And I believe that they want you to be hopeless so that you'll put all your faith in them. I think that they do that like a corrupt pastor who says, nothing that you do can ever get you to heaven unless you give me money, unless you come to my church, unless you do what I say, right? And that's a dangerous amount of power for a pastor to have. You've seen where pastors have abused that. And I think that nobody abuses that power more than some of our false leaders and some of our politicians. So one of the things I really believe is that you got to lead yourself. So again, I've never told anybody not to vote. I've never told anybody who to vote for. You guys have followed long enough, you know that I don't do that, right? And of course, though, because America's messy politically, people will say, Dr. Boyce is telling black people not to vote. I've never said that. Or Dr. Boyce is telling black people to be Republicans. Why would I tell you to be a Republican? I'm not a Republican. No, I'm mentioning something that's a more nuanced argument. The world doesn't make room for nuances, right? You live in a world of extremism, and extremists don't make room for nuance. The nuanced argument that I've made is, look, if you want to vote, go vote, but don't assume that what you vote for is going to have an impact on your economics. All the studies show that under Ronald Reagan, black wealth declined. Under Bill Clinton, black wealth declined. Under George Bush, black wealth declined. Under Barack Obama, black wealth declined. Under Donald Trump, black wealth declined. Under Joe Biden, black wealth declined. So the whole idea, very basically, is that the capitalism kind of overrides everything, and capitalism is built around survival of the fittest. And part of the reason black wealth declines is because, to some extent, some would argue that we're not the fittest. We're not as fit as we could be. I'm not saying that there aren't other people that are tricking us and manipulating the system and playing games and things. 100%, 100%. But in a way, you could think of capitalist tricks a little bit like selling garbage food in the hood, right? Selling, all that fatty, sugary, nasty food in the hood that's gonna kill everybody. Fast food gives everybody diabetes, strokes, and heart attacks. On one hand, you've got some people who have to eat the fast food. Maybe they have no choice, right? They can't find a vegetable anywhere, and whatever, right? So there might be some people in that particular space, but most people, I would say, if they really did, and they like you really could find something to eat other than McDonald's that day. Like most people don't have, you ain't got to eat a Big Mac today, right? It might be the most convenient option, right? But you could go to the grocery store and get some fruits and vegetables, right? You could do that. You could make that choice. Or you could make the choice to go to the gym, right? Or exercise in your front yard, exercise in your living room, right? So when we sort of talk about it as if it's an impossible task, I get kind of furious about that because I think that that is limiting. That's just a lie. It's a big old lie. I've known, and the reason I enjoyed talking about this is because I think I have some credibility because I've been poor. I've probably been poorer than everybody in this room. I didn't. My mama was 17. She had nothing when we were born. I mean, I had nothing. When I came, like we were broke. We were poor, poor, poor. If I showed you the house that I was born in, if I took you on a tour of my city of Louisville, I can't take you to the house I was born in because that neighborhood is too dangerous. One of y'all might get hurt. Hey, that house is nasty and raggedy, and it's in a nasty, raggedy neighborhood. So stop talking to me about how rich people and professors don't know what it means to be poor. That's another, I think, tactic that divides people. You should be learning from all the black people. In fact, how many of you started off broke and now you have some money? Give me a yes in the comments. If you started broke, some of y'all started rich and now you're still rich. And maybe some of you started rich and you're poor. How many of you started poor and now you're doing well? Now, maybe you don't have all the money you want. You clearly have ambition. Maybe you want more. That's okay. Keep going. But how many of you like started here and now you're here? Right? Look at all those yeses in the chat. And anybody who's skeptical, I want them to look at how many people are in here saying yes right now. So what I want to understand is this. Why are we listening to fake leaders and stupid politicians when you have your teachers right here in your community? You have people right there next to you that can explain to you the choices they made that helped them to get out of poverty, that helped them to get out of their situation. We got people in here. I mean, there's one brother I speak with regular. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to embarrass him. Did 20 years in prison, but he comes to class faithfully. He has studied stock options. He's becoming a better dad to his kids, and he'll text me. He'll say, "Hey, I'm doing this for my kids, doc." And, da, da, da. And I mean, you got so many people in our community that are absolute freaking heroes from Mia across the board to Kendall and Karen and all of you, a lot of you, and to me it's so fascinating that they act like black people like that don't exist. They just want to act like you're not real, like you're Russian bots or something. They always say you're a Russian bot if you don't agree with what they tell you to think. And so a lot of the challenge when it comes to the wealth building is not really access to information and knowledge. That's actually quite easy. It is not really access to resources because black people have a lot of money. That's why so many people get rich off black communities. It's really dealing with mindset. It's dealing with the amount of brainwashing that's been just so overwhelming. It's like wait, I have a PhD in finance and you're explaining to me why building wealth is impossible. Like that's what I studied incessantly 10 hours a day for the last 30 years. I could probably tell you a couple of things, but you're too busy telling me why it's not possible. And one of the things I also understand deeply is the subconscious mind. And I know for a fact that if you are that convinced that it's not possible, then you are 100% correct. You have created your own reality. You have used the power of your mind against yourself. Like I can't penetrate that. I can't, like they say, it's really hard to win an argument with a smart person, but it's impossible to win an argument with an ignorant person, right? And it's not even ignorant. It's like when you're determined to be ignorant, like you don't know what's going on, but you're convinced that you do know what's going on. So you're not even open to hearing new ideas that's a wall I can't penetrate. And it's a wall I don't try to penetrate. So don't try to fight with your relatives who don't believe you. Just let them exist. And what'll happen though is once you start succeeding, I guarantee you, they're gonna start paying attention and they're gonna come to you and maybe you have to use brute force. Maybe they'll come to you and ask to borrow money. And then at that point, you can lecture them and say, okay, I want collateral and I need you to listen to me and I'll pay you a certain amount of money. I did this with one of my relatives. I told she would always come to me for money, but she didn't want to come to me for any information on how to make money. So I just made a rule. I said, okay, if you want to borrow money from me, you can borrow money. I'll pay you to come to my class. I'll pay you $50 for every class you come to. And if you don't come to class, then you don't get money. And so she would come to class because she needed the money, and I knew that was the level I had to deal with this person on. So ultimately, I would say same thing, or maybe with your kids, like if you have the flashcards, for example, you want the kids to learn the topics in the flashcards, then don't give them anything for free. Just whenever they want something, wait for them to ask for something, and when they ask for something, give them a requirement. Give them a quid pro quo. Dr. Claude Anderson writes about this in Powernomics. Powernomics.com is Dr. Anderson's website. Everybody should read Powernomics. And give them a quid pro quo. Just say, okay, you do something for me, I'll do something for you. You want $10? I want you to memorize two words, two words on your flashcards, or whatever it is, right? And then I want you to talk to me about it, right? Or you want me to help you with this, or give you a ride to the skating rink, or whatever. I think it's okay to do that. I think it's okay to negotiate because you're doing it for their best interest. And this is, in my view, I think these are the sneaky ways that you have to kind of deal with either children or maybe people who are still in a childlike state when it comes to their own belief in their own abilities, right? Maybe they still don't have the confidence to believe like, hey, you really can do this if you want to. You have to just put your mind to it and make that decision. Okay. So one thing I want to share with you really quick is here are 8 apps, investing apps that you can look at that can help you to build your family's financial future. So I made this list. I'm going to share this link with you guys in the chat. So feel free to take a look there. These are apps that I like. And so I put that in the chat. So feel free to grab that and share that with your loved ones or anybody that has an interest in investing. I think family investment clubs are really the best way to achieve whatever financial goal that you may have. And I want to support you and encourage you when it comes to doing that. The second thing is the second link I'll share again is if you want to watch the recording of this week's ABC Digital, as well as a lot of the other A, B, and C's. I don't know if every single one of them's in there, but a lot of them are. Like you can go all the way back to 2017, 2016, and we just had some amazing experts through the years that were really good. So feel free to click on that. And somebody said that's a clean quarter zip. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. I think I bought it on Facebook or something. I've always been when the quarter zip movement started, I was like, oh man, I've been waiting 30 years for y'all to get here. I've been doing the quarter zip since the 90s, man. That was just like, wow, they're now they're wearing the quarter zips. Okay, I could have told you that about that in 1997. But but if you don't know what the quarter zip movement is, it's where apparently young black men have all decided, not all of them, but a lot of them have decided that they don't want to live a stereotype. And they don't want to do things that are going to get them sent to prison and get them killed. They want to do things that are going to elevate them and educate themselves and help them to become successful. And what's crazy to me, here's the thing that freaks me out. This is what tells me how weird the world is why does it take a whole freaking movement for black men to be convinced to do good things for themselves? Right? Like why they got to be a whole damn revolution, for black men to say, I don't want to go to jail. Like I don't want to get my booty taken in prison. I don't want to get, I don't want to lose all my wealth. I don't want to be an embarrassment to my family. I don't want to be a drug addict, an alcoholic, a loser. I don't want to be broke. Right? Like the idea that it took a whole movement, like this is and it was great to see the movement, but it made me sad because I don't think it takes a movement like that to get Jewish kids to want to go to school. Right? It doesn't take a movement like that to get Asian kids to want to do right by their family. Right? It doesn't require millions of people on the internet to just fight the power in order, to get, I don't know, white kids to want to go to Stanford and want to become AI specialists and experts instead of rappers and basketball players and street thugs. Like, the idea that they've distorted our culture so badly really is where I go back to the premise. So, one of we have the black core of three in the black business school. I believe black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support black-owned businesses. We should educate our own kids because they get screwed up in these school systems and brainwashed and lied to. So either they fail and they can't read at grade level, like the majority of the children in the Chicago public school system cannot read at grade level. So either they get uneducated or they get miseducated. They get good grades and then they start believing that because you have good grades, you should get away from black people and you need to now go and seek validation from white people. Now you got to go out in the world and work for a white man, live in a white neighborhood, and spend all your time trying to seek validation and awards and like Grammys and Oscars and Employee of the Month from big white organizations and institutions instead of circling back to the community that you came from, right? I don't give a damn about Grammys and Oscars. I hate that stuff. It's stupid to me. It's like I have a friend that I have a friend that won Grammy. My buddy Killer Mike. He's a rapper. Love Killer Mike. Um, he won a whole bunch of Grammys. He swept the whole rapper Grammy. Now I don't know if you remember. He had one year where he won all the Grammys. And I was like, congratulations. And I hit the like button. I was like, way to go, man. Fire emoji. But I'm like, why do I knew Killer Mike was great before he got the Grammy. Like, this doesn't make you greater to me. This just means that maybe they're finally seeing what I saw from the beginning. I've met Killer Mike in 2013 and I enjoyed my conversation with him on the phone. And I remember him telling me, he said, Doc, you got to listen to my album. It's the best album ever. I said, okay, well, this guy's pretty confident in his music. So I'm going to check it out. And it was so good. I played it over and over. I told my wife, I said, this guy, he told me how good he was, and he's that good. So when they're acknowledging the greatness that exists in our community, that doesn't make you greater just because they finally see it. You can't let your reality be dictated by what other people see. Your reality should be dictated by what you see. And if they don't see it, that means they're blind. That means they're late. Their vision's distorted, not yours. Do you understand? There's nothing, there's no, and I'm not trying to sound anti nobody right now, but there's no award a white man could ever give me that will make me think more highly of what I've accomplished already. And I'm not trying to say I'm great and amazing. I'm not trying to do that. I want to say this humbly, but there's not a damn award you can give me anywhere, including the Nobel Prize, that would suddenly make me say, well, I must be somebody right now. Oh my goodness. Oh, I didn't know how special I was. No, I've been knowing, man. You 25 years late, bro. I figured this out in 2006. Man, take that award and shove it up your whole entire ass. I don't care about that. And I think that really understanding who you are is so essential if you are black in America, because they're always trying to tell you who you are. And they hold it over your head and they use that to control you. You do not let other people control your access to your self-esteem and your self-worth. You are somebody right now because we claimed it. We decided that. And you instill that in the kids so they don't spend their time chasing love in all the wrong places. Because that's how you get abused. That's how abusers operate. The minute you get out of line, they say, "Well, you are ugly anyway, and ain't don't nobody want you." Right? And you start saying, "Don't nobody want me." Well, you used to want me, man. Whatever. I want me. If you don't want me, when you lay me off from that job, I'm not sad because you don't want me. Number one, that's your loss. Number two, you've given me access to an asset. Because I know I'm an asset. I know I work hard. I know that I'm smart. I know that now I've got free time and I've got the best ideas. You just gave me access to $1 million asset called me. And now I've got free time to invest in that asset and see how far we can really make this thing go. Sometimes for some of you may have experienced this already, or some of you will in the future. Sometimes you'll find that getting cut from a job is the best thing that ever happened to you. It's the best thing in almost every single movie where there's a hero's journey. All the Hollywood stories kind of have the hero's journey. Most of the time, when the hero's journey pops off, there's usually something big and terrible that happens that forces the character to evolve. You know what I'm talking about? Like I was watching, anybody watch there's this new Game of Thrones out called The Knights of the Seven Kingdoms or something. And there's like this big dramatic scene where somebody's about to get killed, and then suddenly in the last episode, it was like a cliffhanger. You find out that the little peasant boy is actually a royalty, basically. Like he steps out, but it had to, like, something had to push that to happen, right? His homeboy's about to be killed, and he steps up and he says, I'm the son of the king. And everybody's like, no, you're not. You're a little peasant boy. And he's like, no, that's my father. I'm a Targaryen. Like, he's not a Targaryen. He's a peasant, right? It's like that, right? So sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes you get called to battle because you go through a tragedy. And when you see the tragedy happen, you think that that's because something bad is happening to you. When you don't really understand that when you really dive into it head first and confront it with everything you got, that you'll find that that tragedy wasn't nothing but a big old blessing. Like that literally was the pressure that forces the caterpillar to grow into the butterfly because the butterfly had to do that. You had to evolve to overcome the situation that was in front of you. So this is why it's really important. This is just I'm being preachy right now. I hope it's okay. Let me know if it's okay if I'm preaching just a second. I'm not a good preacher. I can't flow with my words like Pastor Jamal Bryant, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm really feeling right now. 9 times out of 10, when you really are going through something really, really hard, I cannot overemphasize to you how important it is to just know that that challenge is such a blessing for you. It is a gift. It is a gift. But you got to go hard to open that gift because it's scary and it's hard, it's overwhelming, and you just don't know. And just but you gotta like just face up to it and just you go in that sucker and you will come out, you will evolve. That is how your character develops. And all of us on a hero's journey. You are a hero. You're my hero. You're your own hero. Right. I'm thinking about, I get emotional thinking about it because I think about how many times I thought I was being cursed when I was truly being blessed. But the magnitude of the blessing was contingent upon my willingness to go 10 toes deep into the situation and to confront it. When I ran away like a coward, when I buckled like a wimp, when I let it overwhelm me, I never got to open the gift. So grab that blessing. And the blessing always shows up with pressure. That's life. That's how it works. It's the beauty of life. So I'm gonna stop talking now. Oh my God, I did not know I was gonna get that emotional, but it's this is what I think about. This is what I believe, man. It's out there for you, right? So let me stop talking here. Let me end on a lighter note because I don't get all serious and stuff. But okay, so our time is almost up, and I enjoyed speaking with you. And as you know, tomorrow we're going to meet again at 10 a.m. Eastern. We do this every day, 7 days a week. So if you're not on the text list, just text the word morning to the number 87948, and I'll send you a text to let you know when we're starting. So text morning to 87948. And also, you guys got the link if you want to get the recording of this weekend's All Black National Convention that we did. It's right there. The link is in the chat. So feel free to grab that. And thank you guys for hanging out with me. And and I'll also circle back about the stocks and stuff. I mentioned to you gold and silver. I'm going to invest in gold and silver because I think that this dip is temporary. I don't think it's going to last forever. But there's ways to protect your risk. So keep that in mind. All right. So thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me. God bless you. Have a great day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care, everyone.